What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 6 match for the NCL, sorry, against Dom, or Domathan, as I like to call him sometimes. His real name is Dominic, but I like to call him Domathan in private, and his Cleveland Escavaliers. So, Dom hasn't had the greatest start to the season. His team's pretty bad. Let's go over what it is. Excadrill, Tangrowth, Jolteon, Umbreon, Blaziken, Regice, Mega Altaria, Toxapex, Golisopod, Azelf, and Komala. I was not expecting Tangrowth, Regice, or Kamala. None of them came. Kamala hasn't come to a single game this season. There's no reason to expect it, really. It also just it was just another lure for Conkeldurr. Realistically, like Umbreon's already bad enough, but he had to bring Umbreon to stop Megalodios from just beating him, so there was that as well. I'm actually a little bit surprised to not see Golisopod. Blaziken I thought had a decent matchup against me. I didn't have the best switch-ins to it. Megalodios was a good one, to be fair. DNC was a decent one, so you know there's some thought process going on there. Yeah, so nothing came that I was overly surprised about, honestly. Everything I kind of expected. Obviously, Excadrill can't be running Sand, or Sand Rush unless he's like Z Sandstorm or something. That would make sense. Or like regular Sandstorm, I guess you don't really need Z if you're a Sand Rush. Anyways, that's what's going on there. So in terms of my team, I am a mainly physically offensive with a little bit of bulk and a tiny bit of speed on Conkeldurr. Flame Orb, Bulk Up, Drain Punch, Thunder Punch, Poison Jab. No Mach Punch. I don't really need it. The idea is to just set up on a wall and then beat them down really hard. Tornadus is Leftovers, Taunt, U-Turn, Heat Wave, and Hurricane. So Heat Wave hits the Excadrill. I tried Air Slash, but Hurricane two-shots Mega Altaria, so I needed Hurricane. Bronzong is Akaberry for the Blaziken. I'm running Earthquake. Heavy Slam for the Mega Altaria. Earthquake is for the Excadrill and the Pex, realistically, but also the Blaziken, so I can hit the Blaziken back after it hits me. I'm running Rocks and I'm running Toxic. Toxic's really good for the Umbreon because it can't synchronize it back onto me, and then it gets Toxic for the rest of the game unless he's got Heal Bell. Rotom-Frost is Scarf with Volt Switch, T-Bolt, Blizzard, and Trick. Very basic Rotom. The main idea is that I can Revenge Kill a Dragon Dance Mega Altaria at +1 because I outspeed it, and Blizzard hits that thing stupid hard. Diggersby is Normalium Z with Swords Dance, Return, Quick Attack, and Earthquake. Normalium Z Return Oko's Umbreon at +2. +2 at Oko's Toxapex, Oko's Tangrowth. Basically, +2 Return nukes his entire team. The only thing that can switch into it is Excadrill, and Excadrill doesn't eat an Earthquake. So the goal with Diggersby is set up and break, realistically. +2 Quick Attack deals with Azelf really well. It deals with Jolteon really well. Both of them are very frail Pokemon, so Quick Attack deals with them. And Mega Altaria is really the only worry I have with Diggersby because I don't think that Excadrill can do enough damage, and hopefully it's just gone before I can set up with Diggersby. And then Entei is a very cool set. It's my win con this week. I am Flame Charge with the Weakness Policy, Iron Head, Sacred Fire, and Stomping Tantrum. I was initially going to be Weakness Policy, Flame Charge, Howl, Stomping Tantrum, and Iron Head, but Howl is an event move, and I wanted to run Jolly this week. I needed to run Jolly this week to be able to outrun Excadrill, so I'm outspeeding Excadrill outside of Sand. I believe I'm running speed on 5 of these Mons. The only Mon I'm not running speed on is Bronzong, but I talk about that in the team builder, so let's get right into things then. I'm just going to lead with my Tornadus, hoping and praying that he doesn't lead Jolteon, and of course he leads Jolteon. So I have to get the hell out of there, and I go to my Rotom-Frost here. It's my best electric resist, and he has no reason to click anything besides an electric move, really. And then we see HP Ice. So he's predicting the Diggersby switch turn 1, and that damage shows no EVs at all. He's got no special attack investment, which I thought was interesting. I was like, is he like a fat wish passing set? Until he writes, oh, my Jolteon has no EVs. So unfortunately he can't do anything there. Blizzard's gonna hit, luckily, when I click it, and it does a ton of damage as he's just gonna Volt Switch out into the Umbreon. I'm okay with this. It lets me bring in my Conkeldurr. He makes what I consider to be an aggressive play in clicking Toxic, rather than clicking Foul Play right off the bat, because I do have a team of physical attackers. So it's not that big a deal, because I'm Guts Conkeldurr anyways, and I was planning on being status. I just wanted my Flame Orb to go off rather than Toxic, because it gave me more longevity, but unfortunately for him, He's going to switch in his Talk Specs on a Drain Punch, and shows to be physically defensive with a Rocky Helmet. So this isn't super bad. I have to Thunder Punch this here. I'm just trying to gauge the damage, and it shows basically to be fully physically defensive. He's going to knock off my Flame Orb. That's pretty decent because it gives me a knockoff switch in later, and that's really important, as we'll see later. Having Conkeldurr here as a knockoff switch in is very important later. So essentially what's going through my mind at this point is Entei is my win con. I need either Mega Altaria to Earthquake me, which is definitely possible, or the Toxapex to Scald me, or the Excadrill to Earthquake me, but I don't live the Excadrill Earthquake, and I can live the other 2 hits. So I'm playing around keeping this Toxapex alive. I want to make sure that I'm in a position where the Toxapex is always going to be alive on his end, and I want to be in a position where he doesn't get suspicious that something's up about my Entei, and wants to keep his Toxapex alive to sponge for the Entei. So there's no way he's going to let this thing die right here, so I'm just going to opt to switch out into my Bronzong, I believe, as he's going to double as well into something, into the Jolteon. So I was okay with this. Lets me get up my rocks. Shadow Ball damage is pretty much pitiful with no EVs, obviously. And then I'm just going to go hard into my Torn, as he makes a nice HP Ice play. I actually opted to, so I wasn't sure, right, because he said he had no EVs, and I'm gauging that he has no special attack EVs, but I don't know if he has no speed EVs, because Thunderbolt can still kill me here if he's faster. So I'm speed creeping the Azelf, so I need to swap out, and I'm just going to opt to switch into my Rotom-Frost, as he's going to Volt Switch, I believe, again. I'm actually okay with this because it means... So the fact that he goes into Excadrill kind of sucks, but the fact that he shows leftovers here is good for me. Lets me know this isn't Scarfed, so I'm assuming he doesn't have a Scarfer on the team, unless it's Azelf, which I'm predicting going into this to be a Nasty Plot set. In my mind, that would make the most sense as another special threat. I'm just going to get out instead of clicking Blizzard, because excuse me, I felt that it was in my best interest to just swap here. So I'm just going to go into my Torn. Obviously, he's going to get rid of my rocks. It's not a big deal, but I threaten this offensively rather than Bronzong letting it do something. So he is going to stop the Toxapex. Then I'm just going to taunt here so he can not recover. That's the main goal, is that he, again, he's forced to switch out soon when he gets low. And that's the goal, is to keep him keeping his Toxapex around, right? So Bronzong is going to get burnt here by the Scald. Not a big deal, really. Main goal is just to get rocks up. I need to weaken some stuff with rocks. And then Umbreon coming in for free is just like, hell yeah, I'll just Toxic you, boy. Synchronize obviously fails. I don't care that he's got a Wish in the air, really. The only thing I would be scared of him Wish passing into is the Jolteon. So I'm just going to go hard into my Tornadus, as he actually eats the Wish instead of going into his Jolteon. I actually thought that was a misplay, and I think he should have gone directly into the Jolteon because... well, okay, so maybe not, right? Because he doesn't know my set, so I could have just Psychicked or something, but I'm not clicking Psychic against this anyways. So what are you going to expect from me? Probably a Steel move. If I had to guess from the Bronzong. Like, I don't necessarily think I'm keeping my Umbreon on a Bronzong to kill it, because you're probably not necessarily, but I was burnt and I had Earthquake, so obviously it was dangerous for him to go in the Jolteon because I had Earthquake, and the burn obviously didn't mean anything because I would have killed him either way, but yeah, so Torn gets to come here and I get to fire off a fat taunt onto the Toxapex coming in. No, U-turn, sorry. Whoops, U-turn. Just get some more chip, and then Conk comes in. Here I'm going to opt to click Drain Punch. So, again, my thought process is that his Toxapex needs to stay around for the Entei. So Drain Punch was a relatively safe play for me. Obviously, he had some resists in the Altaria and the Azelf. Neither of them really want to take it after Rocks, though, if we're being honest. Like, looking at the calcs, Guts, Adamant, Conkeldurr blows through things with Drain Punch. It doesn't even matter that they're resists. They do not appreciate that hit. So, I was predicting something there. It didn't really matter what, but Excadrill coming in on what he was expecting to be a Thunder Punch. I was anticipating either the Jolteon or the Excadrill, hence why I Drain Punched. And I pick off the Excadrill, which is really the best case scenario for me. Azel's going to come in here. I'm just going to go on my Torn, and we see that he's Choice Banded. Yay! PTSD coming back to me here. The Banded Bandit coming back and knocking off my lefties on Torn. Not the end of the world, because we know it's banded, so I'm going to outspeed this, which means that Jolteon's his fastest if it's running any EVs. And Tornadus should outspeed the entire team if it isn't running any AEVs, so that is a good note in my playbook there. Excuse me. For those of you who don't know, you can go back all the way back to UPBA Season 1 videos on my channel, and you'll be able to see Banded Azelf pick up 5 kills against me in a match against Dom way back when. Yeah, very scary, and he brought it back. I mean, this is like the second time I've played Azelf since then or something like that, because no one really drafts it these days, so big ups to Dom for bringing Banded. I'm not sure if he actually thought that it had a good matchup, because in my opinion it didn't, really. I definitely think Special was better. Considering Nasty Plot setup against me, I don't know. That's the set I was predicting, was Nasty Plot with 3 attacks. Shadow Ball, Psychic, and... Shadow Ball, Psychic, and Dazzling Gleam was my prediction for his Azelf set, and he ended up bringing Banded, so whatever. This is where it comes in clutch that Kinkeldr is missing its item, because I just get to go into it for free. And Knockoff's obviously doing 0 damage, so I'm just going to click Poison Jab. I was kind of predicting the Altaria this time, rather than the Toxapex. It's not a big deal. Either Poison Jab or Drain Punch. I mean, Poison Jab is a little bit better because I get less damage on this, and then I'm just trying to weaken it before my Kinkeldr dies. I was just sacking it to the Rocky Helmet, and luckily for him, he makes a recover play. So I can't bring my Entei just yet, but I'm going to bring in Diggersby, and he's going to risk this. I'm a little bit concerned about his mental health, because Earthquake would have killed this, and he had 2 immunities and a very easy sack in the Jolteon left alive. I don't know why you'd Scald there. Like, were you predicting me to set up? What if I was Banded? I could have just clicked return. I don't know. Very strange thought process, and then he gets rewarded for it by burning me. So, I don't know, Dom. If you're watching this, like, I don't agree with that at all. Like, I think you should have sacked the Jolteon earlier. Granted, it worked out for you, but, like, you needed Toxapex healthy to handle Banded Entei, which also tears through your team without Toxapex around. So, I don't know, I'm very confused. He makes a really good play here by going back into the Toxapex and then doubles into the Altaria, his ground immunity. This was actually I took a while for this turn because I was trying to decide if I should just Z-return or not. I was trying to decide basically if I wanted Entei as my win con, or if I wanted to chip things down a different way and have Rotom be my win con. And eventually I decided I did want Entei to be my win con, so instead of just clicking Z-return, which would have knocked out the Toxapex, and would have definitely knocked out this Altaria and put... it might have put Diggersby in a spot where it was in a solid place to at least pick off the Altaria, and then if he brings in Umbreon, I just go into, I don't know, Tornadus or something on that, and be able to stall the Umbreon out. So there's definitely a scenario where, had I clicked Z-return here, I'd probably win this game 5-0. I'm just not sure if this is that scenario or not. Obviously, both the electric immunities are gone, so I can just further click Thunderbolt with Rotom as well. And if I had nuked this Altaria, it would have been even better, because then he has 0 electric resist on the team. So, yeah, definitely could have been a play that I made, but I opted not to do that, and I opted to click Earthquake instead. This is potentially a speed tie, but it's not, so whatever. So basically, Diggersby was outspeeding base 65s, and so depending on how much speed investment he was running, because I was running 252 and Adamant Mega Altaria hits 259. So if he was trying to speed creep something with the Mega Altaria outside of Diggersby, like if he wasn't speed creeping max speed Diggersby, there was a chance that I would outspeed him there and be able to nuke. I clicked Z-return that turn. Either way, Touring gets to come in here, and I just fire off a taunt. I don't know what he was scared of there, like Iron Tail maybe, but the Umbreon's in a really bad spot now, and I'm going to go for the Hurricane. I'm going to miss it, which is hilarious, and then I'm going to be able to U-turn out here on the Foul Play. I really thought I was healthier than this on the Torn, by the way, coming in. Crit, which doesn't really matter because Rotom gets to come in here for free. Like I said, no electric immunities, so I'm just going to Volt Switch out. And this is the beginning of the end for Dom, because his Umbreon is entirely weakened now, and Toxapex is weakened a lot to the range where Entei gets to come in. I'm sure he was probably thinking, this thing might have Z Solar Beam or something like that, because I brought that before, or like even Power Herb Solar Beam or something. It was definitely like a bring I could have made. Why is this song so loud, by the way? I'm just going to skip to the next one. I actually hate that one. Okay. It's just so loud compared to me talking. So Entei's in, the monster's in, and I get a free flame charge, I should say. He's gonna opt to sack the Umbreon here to my flame charge, which is weird. And then he makes a really cool comment that basically tells me I've won the game. And we'll pause and I'll highlight that for you. Should have scalded, almost did too. Oh, you guys can't even read that, but he said should have scalded, almost did too, meaning staying in with the Toxapex, because obviously I wasn't killing with the Flame Charge, or any fire move for that matter. But thing is, he would have proc my weakness policy earlier, and I still would have been able to kill his Toxapex. So, like, regardless of the play that he made, he was sacking him on. So in this scenario, he ends up proccing the weakness policy late, which gives me even more confirmation that he has no clue that I'm weakness policy. I'm just going to flame charge again, get to +2. I don't know. I have no reason to be +2, but I needed some way for him to pop my weakness policy, and so he's just going to go for the skull now, and it's over. I didn't know the Stomping Tantrum was contact, by the way, so I take the Rocky Helmet recoil, but Iron Head on the Mega Altaria and Flame Charge on the Azelf is going to clean up this game, and Entei is going to pick up a 4-piece to end off this game, which is pretty cool, because I think Entei has been a very important piece to my team this entire season. It's come to 5 of the matches, and it finally has up to 6 kills now. It's died 4 times, I believe, as well. It's definitely, like, I've only brought Band once, and Entei's a lot more versatile than people think it is, just from my usage. This is the halfway point in the season now. We improve our record to 4-2 + 10, which isn't bad at all. My goal for the second half is to only lose once, max, so that I can try and hit a 9-3 record at the very least again. If I go 8-4, I'll probably be pretty disappointed, honestly. I think 9 wins in a 12-week season is definitely like my main goal in most leagues, and that would be what I'm aiming for again. Not much to talk about. None of the hacks mattered if there was any hack, besides the burn on the Diggersby. If there was no burn on the Diggersby, I won that game straight up. Like, he actually had nothing to beat Diggersby at that point, because +2 quick attack would have been able to pick off the Mega Altaria. Like, it wouldn't have mattered. I probably would have just clicked return anyways, knowing that he has Earthquake immunities. If that had played out the same way, then I would have definitely just clicked return and Mega Altaria just dies on switch in. If he brings it in standard, then I'm healthy enough to live a return because of no burn chip, and I'm able to kill it with a return or a Z return or whatever. Yeah, so there's definitely a way that I win this game 5-0, but unfortunately it didn't work out because of the Scald Burn. The rest of it's irrelevant. If there was anything, the Hurricane Miss was totally irrelevant. Like, didn't matter even slightly. What else happened? Jolteon having no EVs was a big problem for him, actually, because Rotom would have probably been dead a lot earlier, or I would have had to play a little bit safer with Rotom throughout the game. That's enough out of me for this game. Let's talk about next week. Next week we take on Jed in the Adelaide Overheat. Historically, we have a really good record against Jed, just in our head-to-head. He's been playing really well this season, and I'm not entirely sure how this matchup is going to go down. Excuse me. His team doesn't look super threatening on paper, but there are a lot of good aspects to it, and while it sort of does, feel like the second choice for many of these roles of these Pokemon, it's turning out really well for him, and he's undefeated so far this season. So we've got a big task on our hands to try and knock Jed off of his perch and solidify ourselves as moving up in the standings, because there's 3 6-0 teams as I record this right now, and 2 of them are in my conference. So definitely need to step things up if I want to get a better playoff spot. That's gonna be it for me, guys, and I will catch you guys for the next one.